I'm a sociologist in the business school, and one part of my research is concerned with studying visitors in museums and galleries. In the past, so that's why maybe the point you made about history in the beginning of the session is interesting here, because 120 years ago, experiments were quite naturally undertaken in museums to measure how different hangings of exhibits in galleries, the number of paintings on the walls, impact the time people spend with exhibits, and eventually that ended up in studies of how much people get out of their engagement with exhibits. So I put up a couple of images here. Those were related to how tired people get when they are moving through galleries. Yeah? The research at the time was largely informed by behaviorist approaches, so they measured time people spend in exhibitions, where they turn left or right when they enter an exhibition, and so on and so forth. And later on, they were interested in the motivation, what drives people to do whatever they do in exhibitions. The focus of these studies was primarily on individuals. Since then, so since those early studies in the 1900s, since around 1985 or so, there was much more interest in how people visit museums as families, and how they then, for example, scaffold each other and each other's engagement with exhibits. So how can the experience of visitors enhanced by interaction with family members? Parents scaffolding their children's engagement with exhibits, for example. Yeah? Then there was interest in, again, in motivation, and what are the reasons why people visit exhibitions, and how does that impact what they get out of an exhibition visit? And the outcome of exhibition visits largely was seen as learning. Yeah? So there was lots of money being spent on developing learning resources in museums, museum education programs, interactive exhibits, digital exhibits, digital resources were provided in order to enhance people's learning from museums and from exhibits. Those studies were primarily done in science exhibitions, and they didn't look at the interaction between the people, but at the outcome of interaction, so the learning. What did people learn from their interaction rather than in the interaction itself? So over the past 20 years or so, I've done studies of museum visitors interacting with each other in art museums, in science museums, and so on. And about a year ago, I got together with colleagues at the University of Vienna. Luise Reitstetter is leading that lab. Raphael Rosenberg is the professor who is an art historian, and Seda Pesen is a PhD student of them. And they are using mobile eye tracking systems in order to study how people look at works of art. And our idea was to bring that together with video-based studies of interaction in museums. So together with Lucy Meakin and Christian Heath, who is now retired, we have done for 20 years or so studies of people interacting in these exhibitions using a particular sociological approach, and brought that together with the eye tracking studies in Vienna. So here you see the mobile eye tracker on the lady's face, and so that's what the colleagues in Vienna are doing. And we are filming people in exhibitions who are wearing those eye trackers as they are looking at exhibits in this case, the Belvedere in Vienna. So you see an example. It's it. Yeah, so you get a sense of what we are doing. We are interested in what they are talking about, how they're talking about it, how they use. We are transcribing the talk and transcribing people's bodily behavior, and then interpret it from our sociological perspective. Whilst the art historians in Vienna create all kinds of quantitative findings from their analysis of the eye trackers. So here you see heat maps, yeah, what features of exhibits and labels are the visitors looking at, or what is the sequence of exhibits that they're looking at, what are the cascades, as they call it. Yeah. But what we are really interested in is how does the interaction between people impact where people look at, how long they look at it, and the sequence of exhibit features they're looking at. So what we bring together is the eye tracking that you see at the top here. Left is a lady, right is a gentleman, with the interactional data at the bottom. I just briefly show this. The clip is quite long, but I just give you a sense of what's happening. So you see them arriving here at the bottom. And what we are interested in is how does the talk and the bodily action of those people relate to where they're looking and when they're exactly looking there. Yeah? That's what we've just started to analyze. There is a gesture, yeah, and so on and so forth. So in terms of interaction and attention, we are concerned with how is attention influenced by interaction between people. By interaction, we mean the organization of people's vocal as well as body behavior, gestures, bodily orientation, visual orientation, head orientation, and with the help of the eye tracking systems where they are exactly looking. And that's what we have just begun to analyze in museums. Thank you.